everyone, and welcome back to the Beyond the Big Six YouTube channel. I am Connor Bromley, and today we're going to talk about Everton, and specifically David Moyes and his future at the club, because I watched in full Everton's 3-1 defeat against Sunderland, and of course I watch a lot of Premier League football, and I find Everton to be one of the dullest teams to watch at times, which is very frustrating because at the start of the season I had high hopes. I thought this Everton team would potentially get into Europe and really push towards the top six, certainly with a lot of the quality that they've got. I love Illiman and Dye. I love Keenan Dewsbury-Hall. Jack Grealish, obviously he got injured. That isn't anybody's fault. But I love him, and I like a lot of this Everton team. Jared Brantwaite, Jordan Pickford. They've got one of the best goalkeepers in the league. They've got James Garner, who I think is an excellent footballer. They just look all across the field. And yes, there isn't a ton of depth there, but I like this Everton team. And at times when I've watched them, I've been really, really impressed. But there are other occasions like this game against Sunderland where I just feel underwhelmed. And this was a massive game for Everton. It was a chance to potentially get into Europe, their second season at their new stadium. You know, to play European football would be huge for them and would show that they are back. Because Everton have went through a real turbulent period over the last 5 or 6 years where they've been fighting relegations and stuff. And the one thing you would say is, at least under David Moyes, that isn't happening anymore. But that isn't really enough for a club like Everton. Everton should be striving to be one of the top teams in the country. They should be looking at Aston Villa and looking at what Newcastle have done in recent years and looking at what Bournemouth are doing right now. That's where Everton should be aspiring to be, to really close the gap on the teams above them. And that's why it's so frustrating as a neutral, just seeing Everton again just underwhelm and have another sort of mid-table plodding along season. So I want to tackle in this video what I think should happen with David Moyes this summer and what Everton should be doing. So if you've got opinions, let me know in the comments below as well. I'll be intrigued to know whether or not you agree or disagree. So let's go through the arguments for David Moyes to stay at Everton. And the first thing that comes up to me is that he is a quote-unquote safe pair of hands. That is what people would say. You know, be careful what you wish for. Everton have been through a turbulent period where they've changed manager quite a lot. And David Moyes isn't really going to have you in a relegation battle. He is going to have you sat in mid-table. He's proven in the recent past at West Ham that he was able to do more than just survive. He obviously won the Conference League there, and West Ham were pushing towards the top 6 or 7 every single season. So who's to say that if you give David Moyes another summer that he won't be able to do the same with Everton? That would be an argument for him to stay. Another argument would be that he knows the club really well and he's provided so much stability since he came in last season, which I think is a fair argument, and I think that David Moyes would definitely feel like he has earned the right to have another crack at it at Everton. They've also had a decent, if not unspectacular, campaign. They're going to, they've nearly hit 50 points. They've never been in relegation trouble, which you can't say for previous years. So he does have that tick in his favour. And their away form has been very good. If they could just couple their away form with good home form, then Everton would be pushing towards the top 6 right now and potentially getting into the Champions League. So it's whether or not you trust him to do that. Can you trust that Everton can get their home form right next season and continue with this really strong away form? So for me, they are the arguments for David Moyes to stay. And I don't necessarily think they are the strongest. I think Everton in this new era, at the new stadium, with the quality of player that they do have, I don't know if just having a safe pair of hands is necessarily the way to go. There's a lot to be said for stability and being careful what you wish for, but do you trust the club if they did make a change to bring in somebody better? That is an argument as well. Do you trust them, or is it better just stick along with David Moyes for another season, let him see out his contract and see what happens from there? Now, the arguments for him to leave, the football is not great. I think Everton can be, when they're at their best under David Moyes, it is entertaining to watch. It's very sort of high intensity, but when it's not good, it's really not good. And the football, I think, is largely quite negative. I think it's quite defence first, and that doesn't wash when your defence has been as bad as what Everton have been over the last 5 or 6 games. So that's an issue. I think when David Moyes, if you're winning games, it's okay. We saw that at West Ham, but when the form starts to turn, it's really difficult to stomach that kind of football. The home form is absolutely abysmal. They've moved into that new stadium. They've just won 6 games all season there. They've lost 8 of them. There isn't that camaraderie there. And I think it's on the manager and the players to build that when you move into a new stadium. And they haven't done that. I also look at the recruitment, and I think the recruitment was really poor this past summer. Tyler Diblin, they spent an absolute fortune on him, and they've barely used him. Even yesterday, he's on the bench, and he's not the option that they bring on. And I don't know whether or not David Moyes is front and centre of all that recruitment, but he certainly will have a say on it. They spent all that money on him. They spent all that money on Tieno Barry as well. And you look at them two together, it's like 70 million quid roughly that they've spent on them. And they've not been good. They've both underwhelmed all season. Both not been given a ton of opportunities. They could improve. Next season they could be much better. Maybe they benefit from a season of being in and around the squad. But I think it's been really disappointing. The recruitment overall hasn't been great. And what they did in the summer, none of those players, other than Dewsbury Hall and maybe Grealish, have done a particularly good job of sort of getting themselves at the forefront of everybody's mind in this team. They've also struggled towards the end of the season, and I saw a video yesterday calling them Bottle Job FC. Maybe that's a little bit harsh, I'm not sure, but actually if you look at it, since that Chelsea win, where they were amazing, that's the height of what a David Moyes team can be. They have played Brentford, Liverpool, West Ham, City, Palace and Sunderland, and they only got 3 draws in that time. If Everton had won 2 of them, they'd be on 52 points. They'd be in pole position for Europe. That's really, really disappointing. And I think as well, I look at like that Liverpool game. Like, Liverpool are stinky. Liverpool are bad. And that was a game that Everton should have been winning, you know. And yes, there's circumstance in the game. I'm not saying they didn't play well in it. But you've got to beat Liverpool at home when they've been this bad. I watched them against Aston Villa the other night, and they were absolutely terrible. And to be fair, Liverpool have been bad pretty much all season. And that was an opportunity for Everton to get a big win, and they didn't get it. And then you look at the other ones, you know, West Ham, they lost going away there, and they're a team that's really, really struggling. It could get relegated. The Man City game, they were outclassed in the first half. They did manage to get themselves in it, so fair play. It's not a bad draw. Crystal Palace away, they created chances. They probably should have won that game, but it's a draw, not the end of the world. But then Sunderland yesterday, I thought was pathetic from the Everton side of things. I thought it was really, really bad, and that was probably as bad as it gets. I think that, you know, you look at that, you look at how he set the team up, you look at the team selection and how negative they were. It was very, very disappointing, and that is why David Moyes' position is under question right now. So my view on it, I think that it's very easy to sit and say, move him on, get a new manager in, but who's actually out there? And that's the important thing. Who can you actually look at bringing in to be the new manager? It's all well and good getting rid, but you've got to have a plan. So I look at the job market right now, and I look at, right, would Glasner, that would be a good appointment, yes. Silva, well, he's already been to Everton, so you don't think that'll happen again. Eddie Howe, if he left Newcastle, but I don't think that's likely to happen. But I think Eddie Howe would be a great appointment for Everton, but I do think if Howe left Newcastle, he'd probably want a break. So I don't think that's likely. And then you're looking at maybe abroad managers. You know, could you look at somebody like Regis Lebris? But then the thing with that is that Regis Lebris largely plays similar sort of structured, pragmatic football as David Moyes. And if you're going to make this move, surely you're wanting to bring in somebody that plays more exciting football. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think that long term, whether or not it be just for one more season, I don't think David Moyes is the answer at Everton over the next 24 months. Maybe you give him another year, keep that ship stable, and then invest the summer after with a new manager. Maybe that's the way to go. Or do you just bring that forward? I think as well, next season, the teams that are coming up, I don't think any of them are going to really put a serious fight up. I don't think Coventry have got the money to invest. I think Ipswich may be in a better position, but again, I'm not sure. They were so bad last time. Have they learned their lessons? And then whoever comes up from the playoffs, I don't think either Southampton, Middlesbrough, as I record this, or Hull, will be in a great position either. So I think this is a summer where you could make a risky move to try and change the philosophy there, bring in a more exciting and more dynamic coach. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad option, but do you give Moyes another year to sort of rebuild that football club? That's the hard thing. Now, if I was in the position of the ownership, I think I would probably keep him. I think I probably would just make the decision, you know what, we'll have another year. We'll see where we go. We know that Moyes can get teams into the top 6 or 7 of the league. He's done it countless times. Clubs on Everton's budget as well. Obviously, Everton included. So I think that I would give him one more season at it. Let him see out the end of his contract. and see where to go from there. I think the job market this summer is so busy, maybe it's not the ideal time to make a move unless you've got an idea of who you would appoint, but I don't think that that is clear. I don't think there is a clear sort of man for Everton to necessarily go for. So I would begrudgingly give him another year, but I certainly don't think that it's sustainable for Everton to be like this. My view on Everton is that they should be pushing to be in the top six. I think they are a top 6, 7, 8 Premier League club. They are there with Aston Villa, you know, that size of club. That's where they should be pushing to be. And I don't know if they can necessarily do that right now with this version of David Moyes. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, though. I'd be interested to know if people agree or disagree. And we'll catch you again for another video.